Hi everyone, this is Tina with Dirt Therapy, and today is October garden tour. Now, everything is looking fairly good. The things that are supposed to be blooming are blooming, and it's still looking like a really gorgeous time. We garden in zone 5B to 6A here in eastern Nebraska. In case you are someone new and have not seen any of our videos, but I love to take you guys around on projects. Now, usually my projects are pretty extensive, adding a island to our front yard or revamping an old garden space. But today is days that I really like because it really shows off all of the work that we do and pretty much the reason why we do it, right? We do it because we love gardening. So I'm going to take you around. I am skipping the front yard for this reason here. It is all decorated for Halloween and it's not easy to get around it. So I am going to not take you there, but we are going to go into our East Garden, take you through Garden Avenue, and show you some of the other things that we have done recently. This is our East Garden, and you can see that Halloween has kind of trickled into the East Garden as well. But hey, we do this for fun. My husband loves Halloween, and now my 4-year-old grandson is showing his Halloween roots. So yes, he is right in helping us with everything. This is my East Garden. It gets morning sun, evening shade, and now that the sun has changed, it is not getting as much sun, and it really looks like it's starting to slow down for the season. We haven't been having really low temperatures at all. Some is starting to get into the 50s consistently, and then we are expecting some 30s for the low, so 34, 36 next week. So the garden is really going to take a hit upcoming into the next week. So I wanted to get this garden tour done in time. Now, mind you, there is going to be a little trash. Don't even get me started um, on the Halloween things that have just trickled into the garden as well. I have to clean that up. And I wanted to tell you that I am doing this pretty much on my own. Now, my husband, he builds the hardscape structures. We have our Dirt Therapy Gardens business here in eastern Nebraska, where we also make concrete pieces for your garden. However, the gardening part is up to me. I do garden consulting and try to help people, educate people. I'm a key speaker in different universities and colleges around the area. So I'm teaching people about gardens, which is really exciting. I love that. So right now you're looking at the hosta garden, and unfortunately it got hit pretty hard this season with a hailstorm. We had 2 big hailstorms come through, golf ball to softball size hail. It really kind of tore up all of the hostas. And this is right here is kind of a product of what hostas will look like once they start to fade. I need to come out here and just do a little bit of cleanup. But this area really looks beautiful when everything is in bloom. I love the fact that the heucheras here always stay beautiful. Even in the winter, you can see their colors shining through. The Bobo hydrangea is still looking beautiful. Getting some of those yellow leaves, but it is because some of the temperatures have dipped down. But they still look absolutely beautiful. Here is my Julia Childs rose. Now this one was just blooming a week ago, but it has since lost its last bloom. It was absolutely gorgeous just a couple weeks ago. It's my new addition for this summer, and I'm excited to see it grow on and on. The garden is looking pretty good. There are some things that have faded out considering it is October, but there's a lot that still looks really good. I planted a black-eyed Susan vine and it has really taken over. Here is my oak leaf hydrangea and it is looking so beautiful still. It has some blooms towards the back. Most of them are spent by now, but it is a wonderful addition to the garden. As we look towards the purple colors that you see here, I am so pleased with how much color we still have here in October. From the lemon coral sedum that is doing fabulous, and the dwarf unanimous is doing really well. It's looking very red, and that is our true sign that fall is here. We still have some of the agastache blooming, and the pollinators are flocking to this whole area, not just the agastache, but they love the, lo and behold, buddleia. They love the salvia that you see here. I love that fuchsia colored salvia. It's beautiful. Along with the Chinese asters. And you can see the bumblebees are loving it over there. And then my sweet spires are also starting to change color. They have the most beautiful color during the fall all the way through spring. And it's just gorgeous. We still have some color left on our hydrangeas. This is the limelight hydrangea. And then we also have some colors on our nepeta. It has a very big patch of it. I've already shored it back once, and I probably could have done it again, but it is staying pretty low to the ground after I shored it. So it's doing really great. I have some more salvia that kind of is spilled over the side here. I do want to come in and trim that off because I do like a clean path. I don't like stuff that's moving over the pathway. We've got the Little Devil 9 bark. I love this color in the garden. It just really makes everything stand out when you slate it against it. It's so pretty. I have plenty of rosemary to harvest, which is super exciting. I need to get out here and harvest it and dry it for the winter. That will provide us enough rosemary to last all winter. It is something that doesn't come back here in my zone 5A to 6B. It is something that we have to plant every year. So I can just pick up plenty of cuttings from this and take it inside and dry them. Have some more of the nepeta and the salvia here. Some other things that have some great color is the yarrows and more salvia. Now this is the back to the fuchsia salvia, and I really need to come in and just clean that up a little bit. Just haven't had time to really clean the garden. I've been trying to get certain things winterized, get things planted. I think that has been the most important thing for me to do, is to get things planted. That way I'm not going into winter in their cans. They're better off in the ground. But it also helps remind me of what things I need to move. For example, I would like to move this lavender that is creeping over the side. I'd like to relocate that to a new spot, but I will be cutting it back in the spring, so I might just leave that until then. I've also got the string theory insomnia, and that too has kind of flopped over into the walkway. I didn't realize that it was get that big. This is something that I planted a year ago, so now I know I need to relocate it. I didn't realize it would get so big. I love my knockout roses. The only problem that I have is how terrible they look once the blooms are spent. They're absolutely beautiful when they're in bloom. And unfortunately, the rose hips are not the prettiest. They're not things that I can use. They just are very small, and they really don't offer anything for me to use in arrangements. The hibiscus, the hardy hibiscus, are all done for the season. They were very beautiful while they lasted. This is my 7th sun tree. This is the Temple of Bloom, and you can see all of the pollinating activity on here. It's really nice. So it starts out with these white flowers, and then as the blooms fade, these pink ones pop up, and it's so beautiful. I've had this tree for a few years, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Well, one thing I absolutely love is the bark. The bark is like it's peeling. I just love the way the bark looks. Here's another one of the Chinese asters, and these are really nice because they give such a great amount of color towards the end of the season. When everything else is fading out, these are the pollinators' one last resort before they're going to be gone for the winter. The autumn joy sedums are looking really good there in the back. I have those in a pot, and they do wonderful in the pot. They overwinter in it. I never mess with it. They do fantastic. The one thing I do regret is it being at the back of the wall. I need to bring it up front, but it is very heavy and it's going to be very hard to relocate, but maybe we can do that in the spring. Here's some more salvia, the purple variety. And one thing that never fails to provide plenty of color is the North Pole arborvitaes. I have these sprinkled out the garden. I have probably about 4 of the North Poles, and I got them as a very small specimen from Proven Winners, and they are taller than me now. So the wall is 6 feet tall, so it is just shy of 7 feet. We've got plenty of shrubs in here as well with the optic, and it has those little balls on it. It's so fun. This hydrangea is looking a little sad. I need to come in and really give it a good prune job in the spring, which is what my plan is. And everything is looking really, really tired. I've been out here watering, and it still can't, it just sucks everything up, and it can't keep up with it. I need to put another sprinkler on it. There's another of the 9 barks. I have cut quite a bit of stuff back that was starting to look not so great. We've got the Arctic Fire Dogwood, and I am going to be trimming this one down because I want to use some of the sticks for Christmas decorations. The coral berry. It is just beautiful. I love the coral berries. They're just showing off. We also have the denim and lace Russian sage that is doing well, And we even have some blooms from our hibiscus. This is the Holy Grail hibiscus, and it is showing off some color. As we walk into the secret garden area, I am reminded of how much work I need to do in here. But the arborvitaes that we planted here are absolutely beautiful. They're doing very well. The above and beyond roses are in their second flush of blooms. They're not as beautiful or prolific, covering the whole rose bush in the second bloom cycle. In fact, I have only seen one or two sets of flowers, but the springtime is amazing. They start out a peachy color and then they change to white as they age. It is beautiful and they're very fragrant. The only problems are their thorns are very sharp and big. So I always recommend that you cut them down, but they grow insanely quick. And I've already been out twice to cut them down. And that is also part of the reason that the second flush did not produce as much, because I cut those blooms off when they started to flop over into the secret garden space. I still have quite a bit of work to do in here. Another beautiful part of the garden right now is the Rose of Sharon. This is the pink chiffon by Proven Winners, and she is still blooming strong. She's a beautiful specimen. I am going to be relocating her next year into our tree border section, so she'll really be able to get to her full potential instead of between two arborvitaes. We planted her there for a reason, because we were struggling really hard with the arborvitaes. They were not thriving. We had more than these 4 in the secret garden, and they just kept dying. And so I put her there as a precaution in the event that one of the trees didn't make it, and of course they did. So she does need to be moved now. We do have some future plans for our secret garden, which include taller privacy fences on the east and west side, cleanup, and possibly more flowers and furniture. Around our putting green, we have Hamlin grasses, which always look stunning. They never disappoint. We've also got a dogwood here, dogwood tree. And I planted a bobo hydrangea hedge surrounding the putting green to create a lane into the yard. The cut flower garden is still doing so well. I love all of the zinnias coming to life. They just seem so happy. We still have our cannas that are blooming, even though their blooms are almost done. It'll be almost time to dig them up. The zinnias I grew from seed, and I've already ordered my California mix zinnias for next year. Next year they will be planted in a different location, and so will the cannas. This next bed is full of peppers, bell peppers, jalapenos, green beans, and lunchbox peppers. This has been the most prolific year for peppers for me. The jalapenos are doing wonderful and they're huge. I have picked a lot of bell peppers. In fact, they're so top heavy that I have to come out and pick them on a regular basis. In fact, I think I have a couple that I'm going to be picking here in the next day or two. The other section of the veggie garden was allocated to onions and strawberries. However, self-seeded cosmos took over the bed this season. And even as the seedlings have been falling, it is generating new flowers below. This will be coming out next week, and I will be cleaning the whole bed and planting. Our flowers will be planted here next year. So the cannas, zinnias will be here next year, and the strawberries are going to be relocated to another area. Onions will also be in another area along with garlic. This is now going to be the future cut flower garden. The tomato plants are still going strong. I did not trim them recently. So the tomatoes have really kind of taken over their own space. The sun sugar tomatoes are the most delicious tomatoes that I have ever grown, and I will do it again. I will be harvesting the rest of the viable tomatoes this week, as next week we will have cooler temperatures and our tomatoes will no longer be viable. So even if they're green tomatoes, I will be picking them because I can ripen them in the house and still use them. Plus, I love fried green tomatoes, so that works out. Amazingly, I still have potatoes, and they were green up until this last week. So they're starting to die down. The story that I have for our potato patch was that it engulfed this whole Vigo bed. However, after several munchings from a groundhog, it had eaten all the tops off. So I thought it would not produce any more potatoes or get any type of growth on the potatoes. So I pulled them. Little did I know I didn't get them all. And so new growth came up, which means I probably could have left the potatoes in. And now I have some more to harvest. This is what we're calling our tree border, and we are still in the process of creating our tree border. We have dug out all of the sod with a sod cutter, leaving just a little bit of weeds there in the center. We're going to cardboard all of it, mulch it, and get it ready for planting. We still have a few things to do, like digging out invasive Japanese honeysuckles towards the back fence, putting up the rest of the privacy screen, and mulching the remaining area. However, for this season, we are only going to be able to get the mulch around the trees. We have run out of mulch due to all of the projects that we have done this year. We have relocated multiple trees, including the weeping blue spruce, the lilac. A future video this fall, I am hoping to plant daffodils along the tree border and have a nice pop of color for the spring. It might be a trend that I do every year, just depends on what it's going to look like. And I might leave the daffodil bulbs in and plant something along the back part of it that's a little bit higher that will show off the color after the daffodils are already gone. We are in construction phase, so it doesn't look the best right now, but it will look amazing very soon. Here is another spot in our backyard that I just did a couple days ago. Our fern garden, I cleaned it out, added sprinter boxwoods to give it a more formal appearance. In the future, we will be putting some kind of fountain or planter there in the center and a trellis that up against the house to house clematis or another shade-loving vine. I haven't decided exactly which one I'm going to use. I'm also going to do some sprucing up of the hardscape foundations as well. So that wraps up the garden tour of the East Garden and our backyard. It is the place that's most accessible right now simply because of all of the Halloween decorations out front. I really can't show you too much there, but I assure you that everything is loved in this garden. I love being able to put the time and energy into my garden. It is my dirt therapy. So, thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time. Have a great garden day.